I want to go back to the MIHU, but before we do that, one of the enhancements that the developer is proposing is so-called traffic improvements, and which is a glaring flaw in the proposal. And I think, Dave, you gave a very compelling testimony with even going as far back as the planning board. I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, when you were presenting your
Right.
findings, your studies. And so can you describe some of the issues with the proposed traffic so-called enhancements?
So if you're familiar with the River Hill Commercial District, essentially from 32 eastward to Linden Lithicum Lane, where the Linden Lithicum Church is, there are 5 lanes, two going westbound and 2 going eastbound, and there's a center turn lane. So there's a continuous section of 5 lanes. But when you get to the area where this development is going to happen, there's a choke point where we drop down to 2 lanes in each direction. And whenever you have choke point on a road that holds 20,000 cars per day, 20,000 daily trips, you're going to get major traffic backups. So there's another choke point further up the road at Shepherd Lane. And as you know, Shepherd Lane comes in at like a very skewed angle, and it's dangerous, 55 degrees. And the recommendation is to have standard intersections. So the county studied this before in their planning, and they actually hired and paid like $150,000, $160,000 to Sabra Wang, an independent road consulting firm, and they recommended continuing that 5-section lane. If you're going to commercialize this area further to the west, you need to put this 5 sections of continuous road in up into the high school, River Hill High School. So every morning, due to this backup, due to these choke points, we have a backup to 32, and then we also have that at night when people come home. So we had this opportunity with this development, both on the other side, the River Hill Square, which is on the south side, which is a triangular property. We had an opportunity to really fix 108, and the state highway, which is in charge of 108, and the Howard County DPW and DPZ, since they're in charge of planning and development, and they are supposed to represent us, the citizens, should have been advocating for us. And I went to them many times and said, look, the plan they have here is bad. So what the plan that they had is to realign Shepherd Lane further onto the farm, onto this land that they're proposing for the CEF, right? And why did they do that? They did that so that the River Hill Square, this triangular property, could have a signalized entrance. And what that forced is, with that signalized entrance there, because the right of way is not wide enough at that point, it forced that choke point to be permanent. And so we're stuck with that choke point and with traffic backups forever. Even worse now, they're going to put this this huge retirement community in there, and they claim, oh, it won't draw that much traffic, but they're going to put this really essentially a mini city in, and traffic will be essentially much worse. So what they did was they moved that road where the Shepherd Lane, where they had the opportunity, the county in the past, as far as the planning, they had reserved a right of way on the east side so that they could have straightened Shepherd Lane out and made it perpendicular and a safe intersection. And that would have allowed 2 through lanes in each direction. So that would have served, you know, the Howard County taxpayers much better. Instead, the county actually gave $1.3 million to the developer to move that road. And so that developer, just so we know that this plan is already in full swing, because the developer is the owner of the gas station. So the developer for the River Hill Square is the same as the developer for the gas station. So their plan is, okay, we'll move the gas station farther east, and we'll give you this area, this section of the farm where you can move the road to give yourself a signalized entrance. It's just all, you know, the point that is really bad here is that when you move this road, when the county accepted this right of way for the road and moved it, they were supposed to have a public hearing and allow the citizens to give input and propose different solutions, but they didn't. They hid it and they violated county law, and they simply don't care. I mean, they violate the law at will. The road now is much more dangerous. It has excessive curvature, and they only improved the skewing angle from 55 degrees to like 65. So it's still, you know, a very dangerous intersection, even now more dangerous because it feels more open and people speed through it. And they cut off the left turn lane on the Shepherd turning onto 108. So the enhancement, the negative enhancement from that, from what they're doing to the roads far outweighs any positive enhancements from a dog park or playground that, you know, people, only a very few number of people will go to. So that's my my problems with the road, is that we're going to see even worse. I predict here in the fall, when traffic gets back into full swing, we're going to see even bigger backlogs.
Okay, so just to summarize what you just mentioned, Dave. So first, the developer across the street has received some money from the county to fix the roads, the existing condition of the roads, and then on top of that, if this project goes through, we will be looking at additional changes that would be required, additional road changes that will be required to reduce or to mitigate the impact from this project. And even though it's being proffered as an enhancement to the county, what they're providing right now would barely meet the existing traffic conditions before the new project. And once the project comes in, that will exacerbate the issue and will lead to additional taxpayer dollars to fix the conditions.
Well, it will, after this, it will be very difficult if they build their plan as they have proposed. And, you know, I proposed in my testimony, I proposed just simply widening the road onto their property further. But what their answer was during that was, no, this is what we proposed. This is what we're going to do. We can't go back and, you know, and entertain the interests of the community at this point and the taxpayers. You know, this is what we propose and this is what it is. Vote it, you know, up or down. So whatever they come up with, we're going to be stuck with. And especially for westbound or eastbound Maryland 108 going from 32 towards River Hill High School, it's going to get a lot worse, because basically you have a left-bound lane and one through lane, and that left-bound lane, it's the whole extent of the property. So it's 1,000 feet, 1,200 feet or so, and people are going to be in that lane, and they're going to have to try and cut over to the right. And under heavy traffic conditions, they're just going to block that one through lane. So it's where you really need to fix choke points in traffic where you have a chance. And that would have allowed, a lot better throughput on 108 had they fixed that.
Yeah, and Dave, if my understanding is correct, they had relied on some sort of traffic study to bolster their point that this would reduce traffic. But I think it was a potentially flawed study. Were you or other people in the county allowed to, question those who performed the study about the methodology?
Well, if what they showed a video of cars, in part of the model is they show a video of cars going through the intersection, some cars turning, but a model is only so good. It doesn't really model the way people really drive, and where people try and sort of run ahead to cut other people off. And so that's kind of the problem, number one. Number two, I showed from their actual traffic study, using their data that that the eastbound traffic in all cases, both in the morning rush hour and the evening rush hour, was much higher, and it was projected to be much higher in the future. But they only had one through lane. They continued with this one through lane to the east, but they also proposed an extra through lane to the west, a new through lane. So, but there's no traffic jams to the west. So they're essentially, they're improving the roads for their benefit and not for the benefit of the community. And that's sort of, what I tried to point out in the hearing.
So in summary, Dave, a model is as good as what you input into it. So, it's garbage in, garbage out, and which is essentially what, it was.
The other general problem with these traffic studies is that like the county, it's just a requirement. So the developer goes out and hires their own traffic consulting firm. And they know what results they know who is paying them. So in my opinion, the whole thing is entirely unethical. What should really happen is when you have a traffic study, you should give the county, a pot of money, and they independently hire someone so that, really the taxpayers and the county is the customer of that, not someone who is just wants the right answer. It's just unethical.